This is Ballachulish in the Scottish Highlands. 3 men from here so ripped the piss out the German army that Hitler himself had to take action. And today, I'm going to tell you about their incredible adventure. So if you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen and ring the notification bell to be told when I upload new videos. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. On the 28th of January 1940, the 51st Highland Division had landed at Le Havre as part of the British Expeditionary Force. By April, separated from the rest of the Expeditionary Force and under French command, they were deployed against German invasion in front of one of the fortresses of the Maginot Line. When the invasion came, it was through the Low Countries, and the rest of the British Expeditionary Force moved into Belgium to meet the advance. The problems for the 51st Highland Division would come later. When 300,000 British troops were rescued from Dunkirk, the 51st Highland weren't so lucky. The Germans turned south, where the 51st had been given the job of holding a line 4 times longer than would be expected for a single division normally. William Kemp, one of our 3 Ballachulish men of the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders, later wrote an account of what happened. In fact, there were many column inches written, and I was given special access to the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders archives at their regimental museum in Stirling Castle to see some of the material. They've got an incredible scrapbook, including letters received after the war from French folks who'd helped them along the way. On the 3rd of June, Private William Kemp, Corporal Sandy MacDonald and Lance Corporal James Ginger Wilson were part of the Company Argylls who were given the job of defending a chateau on its grounds east of Abbeville. Facing overwhelming odds and numerical superiority, trench mortars, field guns, everything the Germans could throw at them rained down, and day by day they were pushed back to a smaller and smaller defensive ring around the chateau. Until the 7th of June, holding the last line in the chateau itself, running out of ammunition as the German troops reached grenade throwing distance, they were forced to surrender. They were marched into a field and then loaded into trucks and taken to a location where they met men from the Black Watch, Seaforths, Gordon Highlanders, as well as French and Senegalese. Another march and sparse food, supplemented from time to time by French women who'd come out of their houses with bread and cigarettes. As he marched, William Kemp fell in with Corporal Sandy MacDonald. Both had set their mind on escape. So rather than eat the bread so kindly given, they hid it for more needy times to come. As they started the next march, they came across another Highlander called Lance Corporal Ginger Wilson. They were now 3 Ballachulish musketeers. In the next village, a French woman came out with a pail of water to fill the prisoners' bottles. As comrades scrambled, our musketeers avoided the melee and used the chaos to jump into the back garden. There, against the wall, they patiently, silently, apprehensively clung to the hope that they hadn't been noticed as they waited for the sound of jackboots to subside. When the coast seemed clear, they ventured out. They asked the little boy to help them. He disappeared and came back with 3 sets of clothes to replace their army uniforms, and they set off across country. Passing by the Canadian War Memorial at Vimy Ridge, they decided to lay low in a nearby forest until nightfall. It was midnight when they set off again, but they lost their bearings in the dark and they lay down to wait for dawn. When light came, it revealed that they'd stopped right across the road from a German cavalry camp. Maybe night travel wasn't as sensible as it seemed. They crawled 300 yards through a field of corn before crossing a railway line and tramping through more fields all morning until they reached a bridge over a canal that was patrolled by German soldiers. They had to cross that bridge. The French civilians seemed to pass unmolested, but 3 able-bodied men who spoke French with a strange accent. A short conference confirmed there was only one option: brass neck it. Saunter across as if you were supposed to be there. As they walked with purpose, the German sentries said, "Bonjour." The Highlanders responded with the same and walked on, suppressing their creeping fears. Needless to say, there were nights under the stars, other nights in abandoned houses. There were locals who willingly provided food and others who showed suspicion. One French woman, convinced of who they were when Willie showed her a picture of him kilted back home, told them that the war was over and France had surrendered. Their plan to head east and rejoin the French army had to change. Now, their destiny was south. They'd have to walk the length of France and make it to Spain. One night, they chose a barn as their accommodation. They'd just settled down for the night when they heard horses' hooves outside. The 3 Highlanders looked at each other, and then they looked towards the door. But it was their ears that caught the sound of jackboots approaching. And as those jackboots came through the door, they gleamed with the shining spurs of cavalrymen. The Germans looked at the Ballachulish men, and the Ballachulish men looked back. "Huh, refugees," said the senior German. "Oui," replied the Scotsman. The Nazis turned on their heels, and the pounding heartbeat of the refugees reduced to pulsing blood flow. The next day, as they walked the road, a German convoy passed by. One of the trucks slowed down to a stop, and the driver called them over. They nervously obeyed. "Where are you going?" Sheepishly, they answered, "San Quentin." "Jump in the truck," offered the German, and they got a ride to San Quentin and cigarettes at the end. They looked like refugees. At the next stop, they found a wheelchair and they loaded it with stuff. Now, it goes without saying that that would slow them down, but dragging this made the refugee disguise so much more effective. Our intrepid heroes had other encounters with German troops along the way who shrugged and moved on. The refugee shtick was working. However, at a place called Omal, a different option presented itself. A bombed out bicycle shop lay open, and 3 bikes each looked up at them with one soulful headlamp. It was as if they were saying, "Please take us with you. Lead us to the open road where we were made to roam and set us free." From now on, our escaped POWs would cycle the roads of France in style. All they were missing was onion strings round their necks. These guys were on a winning streak that makes you want to know their lottery numbers. But their luck was just about to run out. One afternoon, they were stopped by a German sentry. He told them to help some other Frenchmen unloading unused military equipment. When the carrying was done, the French were ordering 4 German trucks, and a sentry pointed at the Scotsmen's bikes and motioned for them to follow. When they came to a stop, they were relieved of the bikes and put on one of the lorries with the French. They were prisoners again, in a camp with around 5,000 French and Senegalese. It was obvious to the Germans that these 3 didn't quite fit. That was a long night. In the morning, They were brought in front of the German commander, who pointed his revolver at each of their heads in turn. Everyone knew what that meant. "We have ways of making you talk." Now, if I have it right, this video will go up just before I'm on the other side of the Atlantic. I'm taking my comedy show Stories of Scotland across to Canada, starting in Toronto on the 27th of April. But I'll also be going to Halifax, New Glasgow, Annapolis, Moncton, Montreal, Perth, Ottawa, Fergus, Hamilton, Seaforth, Calgary, Vancouver and Victoria. I'll then do one last performance of Stories of Scotland in September, 11 miles from my house in Dunblane. So click the link top right or in the description below for tickets and details for all these shows. So our guys clearly weren't French, but they had been speaking French. So a French interpreter was brought to ask them to state their nationality. "Can you listen?" replied one. "It's Gaelic." "D'où êtes-vous?" asked the interpreter. "Ardnamurchan," came the reply. The German commander and the interpreter looked at each other. A string of interpreters, 8 in all, were brought in to question them in 7 other languages: Dutch, Spanish, Norwegian, Polish, German, Italian and Flemish. Our men answered only in Gaelic. An atlas was placed in front of them. The interpreter pointed at each European country in turn. This was going to be a make or break decision. As the interpreter's finger fell on each, Chanie, 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 until they pointed to the Ukraine. "Che, Kiev?" asked the German commander. Our man shook his head and he pointed to the Caspians. "Cossacks? She Cossack on him." He nodded. Russia wasn't at war with Germany. The commander left the room, only to return with 3 more senior officers than himself. The 4 consulted. And then, after a few minutes, the commander said, "Ali!" and he opened the door for them to walk to freedom once more. Now, I don't have time to tell you all their adventures, and surely it'll be made into a film someday anyway. But they'd walked, cycled, hitchhiked, ferried and fooled their way the entire length of France, when in a small town outside Bayonne, they approached the local mayor to ask for help. The mayor's response was to call for German soldiers to arrest them. When the Germans didn't seem that interested, he called for French gendarmes, and shortly they found themselves imprisoned and under interrogation once again. This time they claimed to be Americans. The Americans hadn't joined the war at this stage either, but that just got them locked up. Irritated by this, they spent the whole night disturbing everyone else in the place by singing Gaelic songs at the top of their lungs from dusk till dawn. At 6 a.m, they were given coffee and told to sod off. But when you do get to the American consul, if you could just keep the whole locking up overnight thing to yourself. The next task was to cross into neutral Spain. Not as easy as you might think. The first time, a false guide took them to the authorities and they were driven back across the border. The second time, they were surprised by a military officer whose troops sent them packing back to France again. It wasn't until their 4th attempt, nights in the rain and near drowning in a fast-flowing river, that they found themselves outside the British consulate at 10 o'clock in the morning, waiting for it to open. Even then, their adventure wasn't over. On the boat that took them outside Spanish waters, one manned a Lewis gun while another took charge of anti-aircraft and submarine defence. But eventually, along with a French friend they'd picked up in the to-ing and fro-ing back and forth across the border, they were transferred to a British warship. They were on their way home. Of course, the war had barely begun. After mixed feelings of the Dunkirk evacuations, the story of the Ballachulish 3 was used as a morale fillip back in Britain. Ultimately, home was here in Ballachulish, where they met up later. In the Argyll and Sutherland Highlander Museum in Stirling Castle, they're still remembered in the prisoner of war section. Rod, the curator, showed me a picture of Sandy MacDonald and Willie Kemp receiving their military medals. They were war heroes now. As Rod showed me the Glengarry cap worn by Willie Kemp, it struck me that this must have been one of the few times the Gaelic language was celebrated in London. More thought-provoking still, that these Ballachulish men of Glencoe proudly wore this cap of the Argylls. It's a long way from that massacre in winter 1692. And not only is there a picture from the medal ceremony, but Willie Kemp's medals themselves. When news got back, Hitler himself ordered that Highland soldiers were to be singled out for particular scrutiny. These 3 musketeers from Ballachulish certainly made an impact. Now, I've got a video about some very different Highlanders from exactly that same period in the Second World War, and it's got a few surprises. You really should watch it. Just click the video coming up on screen now. Support the channel by clicking top right to become a Patreon member, or buy me a coffee in the description below. Hammy and Dawkins, Gumbia Lama Life. Sherry and Rasta.